In this video, I'm going to cover two primary topics, and they stem from an interview that Elizondo did yesterday on Talk TV on a show called The Unexplained with Howard Hughes. The first item I'm going to talk about is some commentary that Elizondo provided yesterday on what he anticipates will be discussed during the open public hearing on UAP that will air tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. The second item that I want to discuss with you is Elizondo mentioned yesterday that he thinks NASA is going to have an announcement on UAP soon. So let's dig into the first topic. And I'm just using my webcam for this video, and I even made a cup of coffee to emphasize how casual this video will be. Not a whole lot of editing, just a little conversation with my wonderful subscribers about the UAP issue. So yesterday on The Unexplained with Howard Hughes, Elizondo conveyed that he thinks the hearing tomorrow will not be a one-hit wonder, that we can expect more of them, that this is just the first, just the very beginning. He goes on to say, I think you're going to see Congress asking some questions to put DOD on notice. Basically, what are you doing? Who are you doing it with? And what are you learning? And when he says that he thinks they're going to ask, what are you doing? I think that's in relation to the Rubio-Gillibrand-Gallego legislation that was recently passed. Congress is obviously intent that legislation gets fulfilled. So they want to know, like, okay, so what exactly are you doing? Who are you doing it with, I think, is referencing what agencies are involved at this point. And what are you learning is obviously self-explanatory. So then Elizondo says these basic questions will set the tone for future hearings. He says, I think what we're going to see here to some degree is a lot of pro forma. We're working, for example, with the intelligence community. We've established this working group. We're starting to have reports come in. What you're going to see is Congress setting a box, if you will, around the department and basically saying, okay, what are you doing and what do you need help with? And by the way, if you say you don't need help, then fine. But the next time we have this conversation, then you have no excuses for not providing answers. I think that's what we're going to see. So I like what Elizondo foresees. My impression is that if this line of questioning ensues, it will put significant pressure on the Pentagon. The bottom line is that those questioning these two high-level officials from the House of Representatives are not letting the Pentagon off the hook. They expect the Pentagon to fulfill their wishes. And that's the way it should be, and that's wonderful. And Elizondo underscores that this hearing is only from the House of Representatives, but not the Senate, who hasn't had open hearings yet. And I get the impression he thinks that there will be open hearings with the Senate as well. And by and large, we should expect a lot more hearings. So this is only the beginning, and that's really, really exciting. So now let me move on to the second item I said I would discuss in this video. Elizondo stated to Howard Hughes yesterday, NASA is very much dedicating itself right now to this topic. You have the director, former Senator Bill Nelson, who has said for the record that the topic of UAPs is a priority for them. Then he goes on to say, you didn't hear this from me, but I think there may be some interesting announcements coming from NASA in the very near future regarding this topic that may be very promising for a lot of people. And then he goes on to explain that the announcement would comprise of discussing dedicating more resources, time, and attention in a formal and official capacity toward the UAP topic. Now, I got to be honest, if that happens, that is extraordinary. And with all due deference to the skeptics out there, it appears that it's getting harder and harder to maintain the narrative that, well, what this really is just people are being misled about UAP. Well, maybe they're not being misled. Maybe it really is a profound scientific mystery. So profound, in fact, that NASA feels a need to pursue it. And I do hope they pursue it, because at the end of the day, it's all about the science. It's all about the data. And I had what I would consider maybe an epiphany or a flash of inspiration, if you will, very recently. And I was just thinking that over the past 4.5 years, we have slowly gotten to the point where we are now, where now we're having public hearings that are going to be televised, as well as the potential that NASA is going to officially announce their plans to study UAP and what they're going to allocate for that endeavor. And so my inspiration was, well, as this continues to escalate, and it has continued to escalate, and I've been right about that, maybe that makes you sad, but I've been right about that. As this continues to escalate, I foresee the potential, let me emphasize the potential, for grassroots efforts to start emerging throughout the United States and maybe even the world, where it becomes more obvious to people that they really haven't been told the true story of UAP. They haven't been informed about UAP the way they should have. They've been misled. And as people begin to wake up to this, what I consider, although I could be wrong, reality, they're going to start basically saying what I'm saying and asking what I'm asking and trying to put pressure on the government, as I do to some small, humble extent, which is, hey, U.S. government or other governments, what do you know about UAP? You've had hearings on them. NASA announced that they're going to study them. So what exactly do you have in your files about this issue? What videos have you taken? What photographs have you taken? What kind of radar data have you acquired? And other such sensor systems, collections that you have not shared with us. And we're just not having it. So it seems very plausible to me that such grassroots pressures could emerge in the near future. And that would be extremely exciting and probably what the Pentagon doesn't want. Now, I will say this. I am a big fan of immunity. I know that Dr. Nolan stated on that UFO podcast that he recently spoke with a member of Congress about the likely need for giving some of the witnesses immunity so that they can come forward, talk about where they collected data on UAP, what that organization was, and some details about what they know about UAP, without the threat of being prosecuted for whatever illegalities they may have committed by not sharing that data with maybe the president, with maybe the Congress, or other members of the U.S. government that they were actually supposed to share that information with. And so immunity may be in the future for some of these witnesses. And I fully support that, because you can have a pound of flesh or you can have the truth. What do you want? I prefer the truth. I think that if we don't grant immunity to some of these officials, their reluctancy to come forward is going to be obviously very, very strong. And when they don't come forward, we don't get the data. So this whole thing is unraveling right now before our very eyes. I do hope that Elizondo's thought on what may occur, I'm sure based upon who he spoke with, regarding NASA officially sharing with us their plans to study UFO, I do hope that comes to pass, because I do think that that would have a huge impact upon this process and would speed things up. And that's all I really wanted to say. I will leave a link in the description to where you can watch the hearings tomorrow, which I think are at 9 a.m. Eastern, but just follow that link and the link will say when they are. And I'm very happy to have this conversation with you. I hope you don't mind that this video was done behind a webcam. Maybe from time to time I will do that just so that I can upload more quickly when there's a bit of information that I want to share with you rapidly. If you enjoyed this video, well, please don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate your subscriptions. And if you'd like to support this channel, well, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. You could even just give me a one-time donation. All of those links are in the description below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I will appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you. Hold on. If you got to this point, type in the description below, coffee. I'd really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.